You know what, right? I've delayed and delayed and delayed this video all morning. Good morning, everyone. The morning after the game before. And it's the morning after um, a pretty dark day in the club's history because after quite a few years of toying with the idea and flirting with it, we've been relegated from the Premier League. And look, I've been sitting here and I've been trying to. The reason I've been delaying this video so long is because sometimes my brain doesn't quite work in sync with my in my mouth, and I can go off on tangents and go off on rants, and I don't quite know how to project what I'm saying, which is for a broadcaster, it's not great. But I didn't want to come on here and I didn't want to sit there and give the vibe of a disingenuous message. I didn't want to sit here and sound like I was moaning or I was making excuses for, why I think we will be better off out of the Premier League, because the fact of the matter is we probably won't. I don't want to sit here and sit there and say, oh, well, at least we don't have to put up with this nonsense for another year, because the stifling fact of the matter is it's important. And I didn't want to come across as someone that's going to sit here and sit there and say, I told you so to people that, have been going backwards and forwards over the last 10 years, arguing about, what was the best decisions, what was bad decisions, what was good decisions, etc., etc. Upton Park, whether we should have made more protest, all of that stuff. I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to sit there and sort of point fingers. There's only one man I want to point a finger at this morning, and that's David Sullivan. And I'm not going to sit here and I'm not going to call him the usual amount of names that, the names that go round, and the insulting names and those like low intelligent insults that people throw around at him. I'm going to sit here and I want to have a serious think, and I want to get a serious message across about what this man has actually done to the football club. Now, I saw a video yesterday of a West Ham fan standing outside the stadium on TalkSport. And I was on TalkSport this morning, and I'll be honest with you, I went on TalkSport at 7 a.m. this morning. I didn't really know what to say. Probably didn't make much sense, to be honest with you, because I'm still in shock. Now, the man was speaking about his football club, and the man was speaking about, he was speaking from the heart. And at one point, he started crying, and then put his arm around his son, which I've got to do over the last few years, and said, it's important to my son. It's important to the family. And this is the fact of the matter is this, it is important. It is important to a lot of people. It runs through people's veins. It runs through people's families. And back in 2003, now let me finish that point first, because I was going for a tangent. That's what I was saying. So he put his arm around his son, and it cut back to the studio, and there was a laughter track playing. The producer of the show decided to put a laughter track in. And the two hosts were sitting there, Jason Cundy and Jamie O'Hara, which I know is a Tottenham fan, going to be happy. And they're laughing. They're laughing at him. But what I saw in that video from a West Ham fan's point of view, I saw genuine fear in a man's eyes. He didn't know whether this was the end of his football club or not. This is a football club that has been going for over 131 years. It's been probably, the support has probably been passed down the family generation after generation after generation. And I saw genuine fear in the man's eyes that he didn't know what was going to be next. He was hurt, a little bit disheveled, and he lost control of his emotions, and he started crying, and people thought it was funny. Football is not the same as it was. Back in 2003, I remember football was everything to me. I've got a family, I've got, and this was before the wife, before my kid, before the channel, anything. But football, West Ham was my life. I lived and breathed it. And many people did around my area. We grew up in a very close-knit area. Where I grew up in Canning Town, was just up the road from when the club was formed in Canning Town Library. And there's all sorts of history, and there's historians that would take you around to all the spots. But I grew up in that history, and that history run through my family. Now, I remember sitting there in 2003 and seeing a club I truly loved go through the pain and the suffering of getting relegated, and I bawled my eyeballs out, because there was players there that I loved, and I was a young man, and it did mean a lot to me, and it means a lot to everyone. 2012 was the same. I cried a little bit, not as much as I did in 2003. But in 2003, I remember crying because I remember seeing players that I truly loved would have to leave the football club because we was going down. I never shed a tear yesterday. And I'm going to tell you what the situation of this is, right? I've got a channel here now, and I don't know whether a lot of people know this, but a couple of months ago, I've decided that we're going to do this full time. Now, relegation to from the Premier League, I don't know what it does to this channel. We're still going to do it, no problem at all. And obviously, I'm working for somebody else as well. But I don't know what it does to the viewership of this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter to me, It doesn't matter at all. I've seen people over the last 10 years going backwards and forwards, arguing about certain things, certain managers' appointments. But it all comes down to one thing. At the end of the day, we can argue as much as we like about all this stuff. It doesn't matter. There's only one man pulling the strings at the top. And the man pulling the strings at the top, when we had to move from Upton Park, or when he wanted us to move from Upton Park, which was the day he moved in this club, by the way, back in 2010, we was on the brink of receivership, and he came in like a white knight, bought the club, and we all thought our prayers had been answered. But the day he walked in the door, he was talking about this stadium, because this stadium was a couple of years away from hosting the Olympics. If any business and sold the future of something that they're so invested in, with the amount of nonsense that was spoken back in the day, and I'm going to tell you why I say this, is because I remember walking in, and you will remember too, and I've watched the video this morning to remind myself of it, when we went to first buy our season tickets, and there was a little shop in Westfields, right down the, where Marks and Spencer's is, down the street, and near the Bat and Ball and all of that stuff. And you went in there, and they showed you a video, they showed you the seats, they showed you everything that was going to be included in the London Stadium, including screens and all of that nonsense. And the first time when we really should have been suspicious about what we were seeing was when I was buying that first season ticket, and I was watching that first video, and I was first listening to what the people were telling me about what this move meant just before, I think this was the season before we left Upton Park. And the first time I went to pull out my phone to take a picture of where I was going to be sitting in the Olympic Stadium, they told me not to. I pulled out my phone. I'm a content creator. I pulled out my phone to record the whole experience. They told me I couldn't. Now, if you're being sold something and they're telling you the truth, why would they ever stop it from being documented? Because I remember quite clearly when I went in there, I remember being told that this stadium move is the final piece in the puzzle. And if we move here, the rent will be so low, we will be debt-free, and we will earn so much revenue, it will make us one of the elite clubs. And you'll all remember that, because we was all told it. It will make us being able to compete in a couple of years, because we didn't have anything to pay back and the rent was so low, we'll be able to compete with the likes of Arsenal, Man United, Bayern Munich, I remember mentioned, Barcelona, for the best players in the world. Now, it's ambition. You can say it's ambition and not lies. But why did they never put that on document? Why did they never put the stuff that they told you in that room on tape? Because it was bollocks. That's why. A football club is not You know, the success of a football club does not fucking come down to the bricks and mortar you play it in. It comes down to the way the football club is run, the ambition of the owners, and the last thing, that it does come down to is the fans and the amount of fans you have. And this club has a lot of fucking fans. Maybe not as many as Man United, maybe not as many as Liverpool, or maybe even not as many as Tottenham, but it's got a fucking lot. It's got more than most. When we moved, and now you look, 16 years down the line or 15 years down the line, or whatever, it's 10 years down the line since we moved down. You now look at the clubs that are well run, the clubs like Brighton, the clubs like Bournemouth, the clubs like Brentford, who have all got more or less the same, apart from Bournemouth, because they're fucking well underneath, what we had at Upton Park. And you know what they was all doing? They was all competing for European and Champions League football. I don't know. Do you know what? I haven't even looked at the table because I haven't been able to bring myself around to see who finished where. I know where we finished, and that's it. They was all competing for Champions League football. This is the same Champions League football that we was promised within 7 years of going into that stadium. And no, look, listen, I'm not silly enough to sit here and think, well, they said 7 years, it should be delivered. Champions League football was tough to obtain. It's the lines like the world-class team for the world-class stadium. And the first, we hadn't seen it by them, but the first clue to that is there was no world-class stadium. World-class athletic stadium, but the worst football stadium probably in the world. Everything about that club, everything, from where we were placed, to what we all fell in love with, was stripped away by one man. And why did he strip it away? Well, there's speculation about why he stripped it away. But it was for profit. We was promised debt-free. We wasn't debt-free. He paid off the debts, and now we owe him money. More money than we've ever owed at a higher interest rate. That is not a man out to make a football club successful. That is a man to drain it of everything. We find ourselves in a situation, and we would have found ourselves in a situation, even if we'd have stayed up, we would have been looking to sell our best players just to survive. And you can look at the Premier League. The Premier League has got no, it's got no, it can't be blameless. The Premier League has made what football is today like today. And what football is today is a load of corporate businessmen coming into community clubs, buying them up, patching them up, putting them in a shiny new home to look good, and trying to rinse you of all the money. And you and me. I want you to think, and Sky as well, right? The Premier League as a brand, right? I remember in 2014, Richard Scudamore said, Man United woes is affecting the Premier League brand. And that's everything you need to know. And I'm not going to sit here and moan about VAR and all that, but think about this. And this goes for football, because they're all the fucking same. All of them, right? Every club in that Premier League is the fucking same. They know who brings in the money, and they vote to keep the rest below them. That's what they do. That's why when they try to abandon the league, the top six, the big six for the European Super League, they got a little slap on the wrist. And that's why the likes of Leicester, Everton, Nottingham Forest can get one charge in the Premier League and get points deductions. Yet there's a team at the top of the league, was one of their so-called big six, and Chelsea, by the way, that's sitting on over 200 charges between them and haven't had a fucking points deduction between the two of them. That's why. That's why. Because it's a brand. It's a global brand. And how can you have competition, true competition, when the people running the other clubs don't want competition? They just want to earn the money. They're happy with the money that they're getting. It's not a competition anymore. It's a corporate business. business. And it's important. And then you look down the line at the clubs in the Championship and below that, and you've seen clubs go out of business over money that would pay one of their players per week in the top division wages for 1 week. And you've seen them disappear, wound up, points deductions because they're trying to chase this dream. It's unsustainable the way football is run at the moment. It's fucking ruined. Ruined. And that comes down to where we are today. Because we were sold that corporate dream. We was all duped. And where we find ourselves today is the true reality of where we are. And I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to sit there pointing fingers because I'm one of the people that bought into the dream. There is one thing on our badge. If you look at our badge now, to the badge where we left Upton Park, the hammers are there. And there's one word on there that's still the same, and that's United. Because no matter how much that man tries to strip our football club of all of its assets and strip it down to the bare bones, right? I don't care, if we are in Premier League or the Sunday League. I'm a West Ham United fan. I'm not a Premier League fan. Now, that is why over the last couple of weeks, I have said that I think this club will be better off down. And you know why it'd be better off down? Because the man at the top will suffer. Because we've all suffered. For fucking 10 years we've suffered. That man has put us through suffering. And you know why he's put us through suffering? For no reason other than personal gain. He thought he was going to walk into that stadium, rinse us of everything, sell our old ground. You know what this is the type of man this is, right? You know how much respect we had for the Boleyn ground. You know what that last man's act was? He rented it to a movie company so they could blow it up. That was his last act. They blew up our memories. And he profited off it. Right? Now, you could say we wasn't going to use it. He was going to get knocked down anyway. But that's the amount of respect that man has for tradition. There's none. Nothing. Don't care. The truth is, that club that you once loved or you think has died has not died. Because the true word in that badge that makes that club is United. And that means everybody coming together and showing that we still love this club. That man at the top needs to suffer. And if this is what he's got to do to suffer, so be it. And I know there's going to be a lot of people call me fucking crazy and I'm mad and, you know, it could cost us the existence of our football club. The club will never stop existing as long as we still fucking there supporting. It'll drop down the leagues and people will drop down and crowds will drop down. But the true core, the true fan base, the true heart of that club, right? They've stripped everything away from us. But the heart is still beating. And the heart that is beating is you. I went into that football club. I watched that football club struggling in the move. They paid each other bonuses for a successful move. Yet they got me, right? And I know fuck all, nothing. Do you know what I do know? West Ham. And I looked deep into that stadium and they asked us, help us. We don't know what to do. It's a disaster. We're losing fans. People hate it. What can we do to try? And the truth of the matter is this, and we got slated for it. We tried to decorate it. We tried to dress it up, the new stadium, as our own. We tried to give them all these ideas about things that could make the matchday experience better. It was so bad. You think it's bad now. Back 10 years ago, it was so bad. But I'm going to be honest. There is no fucking answer. It isn't. It isn't ever going to be our home because we don't own the fucking place. How can we make it something our own that we don't own? We can live there. We can be our house. But it's never going to be your home. I don't feel sorry for the multi-million-pound footballers that are going to be playing in the Premier League regardless next year. That have just let us all down. I don't feel sorry for the staff. I don't feel I do feel sorry for the the everyday working class staff, but I don't feel sorry for the coaching team because it's not been fucking good enough. The players not been fucking good enough. People do not care. There's people sitting in that place now, players that were talking about They're not going to be here next season regardless. A couple of weeks ago. So they don't give a fuck. The people upstairs, all they've ever cared about is themselves. Think back, and this goes to the Premier League, the FA, and West Ham. When is the last time they've tried to help you out? Think about it. When is the last time they've done something for the fans? The last time. Because a couple of years ago, we were sitting there making sure that the youngsters and the old boys can still go for the same money and still can afford to go. They wasn't worried about them. They don't give a fuck about them. They wonder about that. And that's why I didn't shed a tear. But you know, the only people that I'm going to sit there and feel sorry for is the people that love this football club. The people that still cling on to the hope that there is a football club. And why you still cling on to the hope that there is a football club? There is a football club. It's there. It may not be what it was. But you know what football is without fans, and they'll always try and downplay you as the most important thing. Because as I said before, everything they've stripped out of us, they haven't ripped the heart out of us, because you are the heart. I am the heart. The heart of the club is the people that go and watch it. Because without us, it's just 11 men kicking a ball on a fucking field. You see that anywhere you go. Who wants to fucking pay for that? Nobody. That's what they sell. They sell you. You know, they sell you and then they pretend you're not important. And that's the clubs, the Premier League, Sky, everybody. If you truly love this fucking football club, unite now. Because now we need the strength. And I understand, listen, if you cannot bear to go over there, I respect you. I respect your decision. But why there is still people going over there and propping up that football club, listen, it may require putting money in that fucking cunt's pocket. But if that's what I've got to do to save my football club, that's what I'll do. But I'm going to say this now. If there are still people going and there are still people making this football club survive, please don't try and stop them. Please. I respect you. I respect your decisions and I respect your morals. But don't try and, downplay my importance or anyone else that goes there who's trying to keep this club alive. This club will survive. This club has been through tough times and it's in for a fucking rough ride. And whatever we've got to do to make it change, whatever division we've got to play in, whatever fucking part of the country I've got to travel to, I will do it. And if you don't want to do that, that's fine. That's fine. I understand. Totally understand. But it's time we united again. Because you look at that badge now, it may not be the same fucking badge, but there is two things on that badge that it's the same. It's the crossed hammers. That's what I love. That's what I represent. That's what I've visualized growing up. That's what I saw. And the word united, West Ham United. And that wasn't, for me, it wasn't a word that was associated with a football club. It weren't like the Rovers. United meant when I'm there, I'm with people that are united for the same cause. And by God, we've got a fucking cause to unite for now. She's gone. He needs to fucking go. He's next. When I saw that video yesterday of the fans laughing at the man crying, that man doesn't know what the future holds. And let me tell you this now, the Premier League is in such a state right now, financially, there's too much money we're talking about. Any club in that division, and I mean anyone, is 3 bad decisions away from being exactly where we are now. And they're about 5 or 10 from going out of existence. That's how serious it is. So before you sit there laughing and you fucking sit there and start singing, we sold our soul for this shit. Oh, we didn't sell nothing. I didn't sell nothing. He did. David Sullivan did. He sold our soul. But he can't get rid of our heart. And they try. They try and dig their fucking claws in and get everyone out who is the heart of the club. But they never will. You are the heart. As long as that heart's still beating, they can't kill us. Reflect today. Don't try not to worry about it too much. The Premier League, if you really love West Ham, isn't the be all and fucking end all. You know, and I know, it's hard. It's hard listening to what we've heard yesterday and seeing what we saw yesterday. Listening to going back and reflecting on all the pain and all the promises and all the lies that we've been told. And don't forget, a lot of these people were defending these people. They was trying to tell us there wasn't a problem when we all saw it 10 years ago. They're not defending them now. It's hard looking and watching what we saw. But the club is the people. United is the people. West Ham is you and me. It is not that prick that's up in the boardroom or them players on the pitch or the stadium. We are the club. They'll be gone. It'll all, that stadium could blow down tomorrow, but we'll still be there. Keep the faith. And I'll be back next season. And I know you'll be back next season. The people that come and watch Premier League football may not be back, but I'm looking forward to a season without VAR. Keep the faith, boys. One thing left to say. Come on, you irons.